Hey frag heads and fragrance lovers, welcome back. It's Benjamin here at the Scentadar Fragrance Channel, and today we're going to be talking about none other than Twin Flames from House of Matriarch. This is a very interesting fragrance. It's an aldehydic animalic fragrance. Interesting combination. There's not a lot of those on the market anymore. Supposedly this was more of a vintage style fragrance that used to be fairly popular back in the day. Aldehydes or aldehydic, often like florals that are very piercing. The most popular aldehydic floral that I know of is probably Chanel number 5. If you might be familiar with that interesting sharp piercing floral kind of quality about the fragrance. Aldehydes can add a lot of character and like kind of like a freshness to a lot of fragrances in a way. The animalic vibe here is, to me, has like, it's a mid-weight. It's not a fresh animalic. It's not a dense, heavy animalic either. It's more of a mid-weight, and those add that aldehydic vibe really brings up the composition and kind of lightens that animalic vibe. To not be so strange or so dense or whatever. Animalics can be kind of strange. Overall, this is animalic, but I don't find it particularly strange to wear, particularly different. If you've never smelled animalics, if you've never came across animalics, especially when this is more of a natural fragrance, House of Matriarch fragrances are pretty natural. Natural artists, the art of natural perfumery and those kinds of things are important to some people. This might be something that you're interested in. But I think for the average person out there, it is going to be a little bit different and a little bit strange, but it's not a scary animalic. I'll put it that way. Overall, this does, because of the aldehydes, I do think it leans a little bit more towards the feminine side of things, and some classy ladies, maybe mature ladies, might quite like this fragrance. Aldehydes also give fragrances great performance, and we'll talk about performance in a second. Overall, I do want to say that this, I think it does have the note of deer tongue, or does have some deer qualities to it. I'm not sure if those are synthetic or not. Some people have different ethics and see things differently with using natural ingredients from animals. So you might want to do your research on this one. It does have an interesting deer-like or leathery kind of nuance to this fragrance. There are a lot of interesting ingredients to this one, so please check out the ingredients. I'll include the website down below. I'm not affiliated with them whatsoever. They don't pay me. They probably don't care about who I am. But, Twin Flames is an interesting fragrance for sure. Longevity-wise, aldehydes do last. Even though this is more of a natural brand and natural perfumery, some of the fragrances from House of Matriarch kind of do suffer from longevity issues. I'm just going to say it. This one is better. This is probably going to give you 7 hours plus, 7-8 hours. This is not a slouch. It does last. Longevity is not bad. Projection is maybe average, maybe slightly above average. Sillage is pretty good, pretty decent. It's not the performance overall with this fragrance isn't amazing, but it is a slightly above average. So it's not it's pretty good. It's noticeable. So compliment factor wise, I did go out and about wearing this fragrance. I didn't get a lot of compliments. Looking at the notes of this fragrance, you might think it's very strange or very odd. It didn't get me anybody particularly repulsed. It didn't really offend anybody particularly. But, this fragrance was kind of odd. When I let people smell it up close, when I got people's opinions, they did think it was a little bit unusual. They didn't think it was particularly strange, but they did think it was odd. And some ladies did think it smelled kind of nice in its own way. But once they heard the notes and they heard that it might have deer tongue in it, they thought that was kind of repulsive. So I don't know who I could recommend this fragrance to. It does smell a little bit more like a mature lady. It does smell a little bit more, classic or classically inspired. And it doesn't change a lot in my opinion. The fragrance could have more complexity to it. It could have something to make it a little bit more mass appealing in the top. And to me, it doesn't have a lot of anything in the base. It doesn't really have anything in the base. To me, this fragrance feels kind of like two big accords kind of pushed together, kind of forced each other into each other, kind of like one big atom. Two different molecules kind of pushed together, and that's kind of the heart of the fragrance. It doesn't have much of a top, and the fragrance doesn't have much of a base. I do feel like that is something missing from this fragrance. And I feel like that maybe makes the fragrance a little bit less interesting. This fragrance certainly does have a DNA and certainly could be very interesting. If you do like wild, creative indie fragrances or niche fragrances, I do think that some ladies out there or somebody out there might like to layer this with other fragrances, and it might be very fun for some people out there to layer with other fragrances. But for me personally, it's not something I personally like and enjoy. Let's jump to the price and my final thoughts. Again, I told you I don't really enjoy this one, and because this one is a little bit more expensive than the average ones for 50 mils, I'll just let you go to the website and see the price. This stuff's not cheap. House of Matriarch fragrances are not cheap whatsoever, and you might want to you might be shocked about how expensive these fragrances are for what you get. These are very expensive fragrances, and for me personally, I admire the quality, but I've come across people like Meleg, and Rogue Perfumery and some of these other brands that are using some naturals, and they create fragrances that are long lasting, fragrances that are somewhat more wearable, and their prices are much more affordable for their fragrances. So, I really can't suggest this fragrance. If I think that you might want to try Devonish by Rogue Perfumery. It's one of my wonderful big fragrance finds of 2019, or pretty much in 2020 as well. It was one of my biggest fragrance finds. It was a great fragrance. It's I think it won an award or two. Devonish, or however you say it, by Rogue Perfumery, is highly recommended and is a great fragrance for the money. And I think if you're looking for more of this vintage style fragrances, I think that you might be much happier with that fragrance overall. Anyways, this fragrance is interesting. This fragrance is dynamic. I've never smelled anything like it before, but I can't recommend it for the price. For the per mils of what you're getting, this is just far too expensive for my kind of taste. And I personally do think that this is more of an animalic aldehydic fragrance for a very daring, interesting, maybe a mature lady. I won't be wearing this in public. I won't wear this fragrance, and it's not something that I would ever wear. And I don't think many men out there would probably be attracted to this, or I don't know, be wanting to wear this on their own skin. So, anyways, this has been my review of House of Matriarch's Twin Flames. This is more of an acquired taste. It is in the niche world of things. I don't think it's the most daring or it's not the strangest niche fragrance out there, but it is definitely in that odd spectrum. So definitely be aware of that. If you're a fragrance lover and you do come across this fragrance, this is certainly more of a odd fragrance, a very odd creation. It's more of a difficult fragrance to wear for certain. So I'll let you go, my friends. I wish you the very best. If you did like my review today, please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share the video, tell a friend, and when you do hit the notification bell, please hit all notifications so you don't miss out on any of my content. Anyways, my friends, I'll see you next time. I wish you the very best, and I wish you a great life. Have a good one. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you next time, my friends. Stay tuned for the next video, and I'll see you next time, my friends. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good one.